Hi, Mitch Tanenbaum here. Thanks for joining me today. This is the Security News Update for October 1st, 2023. Um, in the Security Alerts Department, be careful where you outsource. It's interesting. So, the Future Crime Research Foundation identified crime hotspots in India between 2020 and now. And what they're finding, the top 10 districts in India include Bangalore and Gurugram, where companies like Microsoft and Google and IBM and Accenture and Infosys and all the big players are. That's not surprising, right? That's where all the folks who know anything at all about IT are. Um, and they're saying that among the factors that lead to these being hotspots is limited cybersecurity practices there. And again, not a surprise. But if you do outsource, it's important to include language in your outsourcing contract as to where those outsourced workers may be located and what the company's security practices are. Obviously IBM is an American company, but they have lots of workers in India and other countries. So you just need to understand what it is you're getting for your money. If you need help here, obviously we can help you with that. This year's National Emergency Alert Test is coming on Wednesday. It includes all kinds of things like phones and TV and radio. It'll occur around 2:20 in the afternoon on Wednesday, plus or minus a couple of minutes. For iPhones running iOS 17, there's a new feature where 100 million or so iPhones are all going to reach out at the same time to some particular website, and to get some additional information about the alert and display that. It'll be interesting to see whether that works or not. Or Apple has promised Homeland Security that they're not going to crash anything as a result of that. And they do say, in probably fairness, that it's a relatively small transaction that's moving back and forth. So maybe that's true, but we'll definitely see a traffic blip for sure. Um, I've never actually gotten one of these alerts, which is not a terribly good indicator. They say, there's certainly no guarantee that you'll get it, but we shall see whether this year is any better than previous years. Um, in the software and hardware to check out department, there's a new large language model called Claude that comes from Anthropic. They just got a $4 billion infusion from Amazon. They're going to be using Amazon's infrastructure. Um, Google gave them, I think, about I don't know, a small number. Um, I don't know, 300 million maybe. Yeah, I think something like that. And they were using Google's infrastructure now. With Amazon giving them 4 billion, they get to use Amazon's infrastructure. But I think the interesting thing about the Claude model is they're going to get to use Amazon's custom silicon, calling the really cutesy names, Trainium for training, and Inferentia for inference engine. Um, so, if they get to use those for free, which they might, that would certainly be pretty cool, and that would be a big leg up, and not having to spend a bucket of money. Under the important issues department, we dodged a bullet with shutting down the government for now. But CISA said that they would, assuming that was going to happen, they would have furloughed about 80% of their employees, which means all of the work that CISA does watching the commercial infrastructure would go bye-bye. We don't have to worry about that for another 44 days. We'll see whether Congress gets their act together, but that's not a great thing to happen if it happens. Also, Progress Software, maker of the all-time leader breach software, I'll talk about that later, Move It, now says that their WSFTP software has a bug which they give a 10 out of 10 severity rating. So if you use Progress, I don't know whether Progress is going to survive this. I mean, this is pretty bad. So we shall see. But at least for the moment, if you use their WSFTP product, time to upgrade. Uh, in the legislative and legal department, California age-appropriate design code law was struck down. It's a really dicey law. It has some interesting First Amendment questions, and different analysts are analyzing it, are questioning some pieces of the judge's ruling, but not all of the pieces. Um, is, everybody wants to protect the kids, and protecting the kids is a good thing. You can't argue with protecting the kids. You know, who would say that? Um, there are a couple of other states that cloned the California law, like Connecticut and Florida. So if the California law goes up in flames, so will the Connecticut and Florida laws. But we shall see where that goes. There's a lot of room before this makes it to the Supreme Court, so we shall see. Um, this has been a really bad week for crypto, just bad. Um, the JPEX crypto con game is near collapse after losing about $180 million. The founders are on the run. And I think you could probably live pretty well if you stole $180 million from your company, tax free. Um, the interesting thing is that the authorities have, and this is in Hong Kong, the authorities have rounded up a bunch of celebrities who have been hawking this con game and brought them in for questioning. The thing that I would like to see is getting these celebrities charged with a crime, and then maybe the punishment would be that they get to give up $180 million collectively to make the people who believe they're con whole. I'm not counting on that, but we shall see. Hong Kong does say they're going to tighten up their crypto rules, like everybody else is saying now. So, that's a good thing, but that doesn't help these poor folks who lost 180 million bucks. Next, General Keith Alexander, former head of the NSA, started this security company called IronNet a couple of years ago. I think they got something close to $80 million in funding. They managed to blow through all of it. Um, it used to have a valuation of over $1 billion, and now they're just winding it down, and they're going to liquidate the parts for fire sale prices. They're not even going to try to reorganize. Um, and next, and this one's an interesting one, we'll see where this one goes. The DoD Inspector General announced that they're going to audit DoD's process for accrediting CMMC assessors. This has nothing to do with the CMC regulations, 80171. This is the process for accrediting assessors, and they want to make sure that it's uniform and, more importantly, that it will meet all of the DoD accreditation requirements. So, this could result in a stricter process. We shall see where it goes. It's not going to make the process for CMMC any less arduous for the end companies. Next, and this has been under education. This has been an education for me. Microsoft has started to roll out passkey support in Windows 11. I think conceptually passkey is a good thing. Basically, it gets rid of passwords and it lets the two computers, the one that you're on and the one you want to talk to each other behind the scenes and decide whether you're you. They use public key cryptography to do that, and it's all completely transparent to you. This has nothing to do with blockchain or Bitcoin or anything like that. But my experience with it has been so far has been 100% fail. So, hopefully these guys will get their act together. It certainly seems to work better, they claim, if the only thing you use is a phone, you don't use a computer, and you have drunk whatever Kool-Aid there is to drink, whether it is the Apple universe with iPhones and Safari, or whether it is a Google's universe with the Chrome browser and Android. And if that's all you use, then maybe it works. I literally have not been able to get it to work yet, so I was totally underwhelmed. It also may work. I was trying to use it on a computer. It may work better on a phone, but that's not the reality for businesses. They don't live on their phones. So if it doesn't work well on a computer, then it's irrelevant. But it's a good concept, so hopefully they'll figure out where the bugs are and fix it. In the breaches department, the one that we never have a shortage of, the update on Move It, which is kind of a standing thing in my newsletter as of today, the victim count is about 2,098 companies, and about 62 million victims, and over 1,600 of these companies were third parties to the company whose data was stolen. So this kind of gives you a point here. This is like what, 60%, something like that. Um, uh, Third party risk, is just a huge problem. Hackers have earned about $100 million from this so far. So pretty amazing. And the Clop ransomware guys, the guys that pulled this thing off, said, "Hey, look, if you don't want to bother to test your software before putting it on the internet, not my problem. Don't blame us for doing penetration testing on your software." Something to be said for that. I thought that was kind of interesting. In the next crypto heist this week, there was $200 million stolen from another Hong Kong crypto exchange. Um, and at some point in time, people will figure out that they don't really want to fund the North Korean government. But until then, they'll keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. The crypto exchange is called Mixon. It has halted deposits and withdrawals. Um, uh, Hopefully you don't need access to your money. Hopefully that wasn't important to you. They said that they'll reopen for business once they figure out what happened and fix the problem. That's encouraging. um, and they said also that eventually they will um, announce a solution as to how to deal with the lost assets. They're not saying you get any money back. They're just saying they're going to come up with a solution, whatever that means. And according to Chain Analysis, the crypto losses last year was about $3.8 billion. Pretty decent amount of money. So, if you don't care about losing your money, keep doing the same thing you have been doing, and you will likely lose your money. The next, and this one's entertaining, the next crypto attack is against a crypto casino. The good news with this one is that the money that was stolen belonged to the casino and not to its customers. So, okay, sounds good to me. Somehow the folks that run the casino exposed their private key. Not something you're supposed to do. It's kind of like you lock your door and then you tape the key to the door jam. Probably not a really good plan. So, but they also have halted all deposits and withdrawals. So this has not really been a good week for crypto. Um, Insider threat is continuing to be a problem and growing. The government seems to be doing a lot better than private industry. Private industry, I think, for the most part, is completely unaware of what of their intellectual property is being stolen. In this particular case, this was a insider working. He had a top secret clearance, which in theory, says you've done a good job of checking the background. Obviously, that didn't work. And he passed, like something like 100 documents, not 100,000, that'd be a lot, 100 documents to a foreign power, but but they only discovered it accidentally while they were investigating something else. But I think for private businesses, they don't have the kind of resources that the feds have, and so the odds of detecting it are much lower. Next, and I think this is a win for small business if they use it. The SEC's new cyber incident reporting rules that require publicly traded companies to report cyber incidents within 4 days. If you're privately traded, of course, privately owned, it doesn't apply to you. But the good news is that many of your vendors are publicly traded. So if you watch what they are doing, you're probably going to hear about their shenanigans uh, from the SEC long before you'll get that letter from them telling you that they've been hacked. Again, if you need help there with understanding how to use that, give us a holler. Um, Next, in the chutzpah department, for sure, there's an attorney who has filed a RICO lawsuit, or Racketeering Influence Corrupt Practices Act lawsuit against H&R Block and Google and Meta. The issue here is that H&R Block put web beacons on their website, and for people who are using their online tax software, they passed all kinds of stuff to Google and Meta, and way more than they should have, for sure. And Google and Meta said, "Oh, yummy data, really useful data. We can sell this for a lot of money." So you got problems in both cases, right? H&R Block clearly was clueless about what they were doing. which does not absolve them of responsibility. And Google and Meta were just greedy and figured, hey, if you want to give us personal tax information for people, we'll take it. We can definitely sell that. Next, the Writers Guild strike looks like it's ended. They've come to a tentative agreement. One of the things that's in there that's kind of tech related is there is an anti-AI provision. We haven't seen the details of it, but fundamentally the idea is writers don't want to be replaced by chatbots, even though the chatbots would probably generate better jokes than the writers do. Um, and so there's some language in there which we will see soon, I suspect, as to what the agreement does. And this could be a harbinger of things to come with other agreements. Next, the iPhone 15, no big surprise, supposedly is a nightmare to repair. When I think it was iFixit took it apart, Apple charged their credit card, put a hold for $1,200. Hopefully, they would return the stuff that the Apple sent them, and sent them 72 pounds of equipment in 2 suitcases. So if that's what you're into, go out and buy yourself an iPhone 15 because I'm sure you'll never break the screen. I'm sure that will never happen. Tech leaders in the White House clash over improving cloud security. Of course, the cloud guys don't want to be responsible for anything. They don't want to have to improve the security because, after all, that cuts into profits. So we shall see where that goes. Hopefully, the White House wins because I mean there is no other product that you buy where the manufacturer is not responsible. I don't care whether it's Q-tips or diapers or cars. The manufacturers are always responsible, except when it comes to tech. Um, the Department of Justice arrested an IRS consultant for another insider threat case for leaking tax information. In particular, this is the guy who apparently leaked the Trump tax returns and a bunch of other tax returns as well that didn't get anywhere near as much publicity as the Trump returns did. But they caught the guy. Part of that came from the Infrastructure Inflation Reduction Act, money that the IRS got that the Republicans are trying to claw back because they would really like a weak IRS, even though they say that's not the case. That's absolutely the case. But in the meantime, the IRS has made a bunch of improvements. They've obviously been able to figure out things that they couldn't figure out before. And this guy is now going to be a guest of the Crossbar Hotel, likely for a long time. And lastly, and this is pretty entertaining, Hyundai and Kia, that for years did not include immobilizers in their cars. That's the chip that makes it harder to steal the car if you don't physically have the key. In fact, apparently, according to videos that you've seen on social media, all it takes is literally a USB flash drive that you can stick in a place and turn, and that allows you to start the car without the key. Um, Hyundai and Kia are blaming TikTok. It's TikTok's fault that all these cars are being stolen because, after all, if social media hadn't been telling about how easy it was to steal the car, then cars wouldn't be stolen. Not that they were responsible, not that they didn't do anything that they should have done, not that they didn't take any just basic protections that the rest of the industry was taking. No, it's social media's fault. Well, I'm not necessarily a big fan of social media, but I'm not going to lay the blame on them for this one. This one is pure 100% Hyundai Kia's fault, and we'll see where this goes in a lawsuit, but I don't think it's going to go very far. With that, if you need any assistance, please reach out to us, and until next time, stay safe.
Turnkey Cybersecurity and Privacy Solutions offers the complete cybersecurity program for small to medium-sized businesses. They include everything needed to secure your business and meet compliance requirements. Visit our website at turnkeycybersecurityandprivacysolutions.com to learn more.